Well, first of all, I just love skiing. Like, so much. There's nothing in the world that brings me more joy, ever.
Yeah, I'm scared to death right now, but I've got this. Like, I know deep down inside, I'm capable of what I'm about to do.
I came back way stronger. I felt like the rehab was pretty simple and straightforward. And I learned how to appreciate my body and how to take care of it, what to eat and like to stretch. I was 18, so I felt like I was invincible at the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Athletic Stance Podcast, a skier's perspective with your host, yours truly, Scott Chrisman. In this podcast, I have made it my job to go out and interview skiers at the highest level of the sport, to explore their perspective on life, what shaped and influenced them to become the person they are, and a whole lot more. First, let's take a look at our sponsors, because without them, none of this is possible. Our first sponsor is Northwest Tech. If you haven't heard of them yet, you're missing out. They hand make customizable 3-layer outerwear to order in the Pacific Northwest. And that means you know that it keeps you warm, dry, and looking unique while you're sending it around the mountain. They've been generous enough to give me a coupon code for my listeners. Use the code AOS75 to get $75 off any custom piece of outerwear. Their site is in the show notes. This episode is brought to you by POC. POC makes the best helmets, goggles, and protective wear out there. They've been dedicated to protecting athletes since day one, and I wouldn't wear a different helmet, goggle, back pad, or hip pads. With their spin technology and VPD system, there are no other products on the market that are like it. Definitely go and check out POCsports.com and protect yourself today. This week's guest is an honor to present. He just competed in the Olympics in Pyeongchang in the halfpipe as a skier and got a silver medal behind last week's guest, David Wise. He is a local Colorado boy, and his insight has just been amazing, and his wisdom is huge for his age. So, without further ado, let's get a peek into the life of Alex Ferreira.
In Colorado, and I've been skiing for 20 years now. That's kind of crazy to say. I'm getting old.
That's hilarious. You're making me feel really old. What was it like growing up in Aspen? Aspen's a pretty sweet ski town. I grew up in Boulder, so I was close to Eldora, and that's where I grew up skiing, but I never got to know what it was like to grow up in a ski town. So what was that like for you?
Growing up in a ski town is pretty awesome, honestly. It's extremely lucky. I don't know if everybody realizes how lucky it really is. So I got no complaints growing up in Aspen, especially just between the diversity of skiing, 4 different mountains, and then I actually had the opportunity to go to a public high school, Aspen Public High School, and just kind of do the normal thing while doing the crazy ski thing at the same time. So I was extremely fortunate, and I was able to leave Aspen and then come back and really appreciate it for what it was. So I really enjoy it here, and I don't think I'm ever going to leave.
Yeah, man, Aspen's so beautiful. Right now I'm down in Boulder, but I live on the other side of the mountains over in Crested Butte. And, just the beauty in that like 40 square mile section is ridiculous.
It's crazy between here and Crested Butte, and then even down to Carbondale. It's just the geological features are unbelievable, and the skiing and the people. Everybody's just really nice, and I think it's because it's small. Maybe that's why it's so cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, man, you touched on being able to go to a public high school and, go through this crazy ski career, do all the crazy ski stuff. I went to a ski academy, so it's kind of crazy. Like I went to a ski academy in Salt Lake City, so I was in the city and going to a ski academy, which is completely different than your situation. And sometimes I wonder how it would have been different if I would have gone to a public school. I don't regret any moment of what I did, but can you touch on what it was like to be in a public school, but be competing the way that you were competing?
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. Which academy did you go to?
Romark Ski Academy. I grew up ski
Right.
racing.
Okay, cool. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I mean, ski racing was definitely like a huge part of my identity. And then like going to Romark was awesome. Like a bunch of high level athletes. I think I would have been better off if I would have stayed at Eldora and continued to go to school here, just because I left in the middle of or after my sophomore year, and went there for my junior year. And so separating my high school was kind of rough. Like remaking friends, it was just kind of like added a bunch of extra factors in for me. You said you left. Maybe you can answer this after you answer my other question. But where did you leave and when did you leave? Did you go to college or?
Yeah, I guess I went to I went to college after high school. I went to Westminster College right in Salt Lake as well.
Sweet. Yeah, Westminster is awesome. Smaller school.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of high school.
Yeah. So what was it like, going to a public high school and competing the way that you were competing?
Honestly, it was really cool because a lot of the other guys who I was competing with were going to academies, and just to be able to say I did it through a public high school and I did do a somewhat normal thing that other people would do was really cool. Like I still have all my best friends from high school. We hung out all this week, for Thanksgiving and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the biggest thing was just the social aspect, like being able to keep my friends while meeting a ton of new friends on the road. I'd leave for a week or 2 weeks on end from class, and then I would just all of a sudden show up and I'd be asking people like, hey, what did you do for this homework? Like, hey, I need help with this. And they would help me. Like everybody would chip in and help. And we're still friends today. And they'd be like, where were you? Where'd you just go? So I was skiing for a week, but I'm back. Like, all right, cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome that the community or like your friends and peers rallied around you, because I definitely, before I went to Romark Ski Academy, I was at a private school in Boulder, and everyone was always super interested in what I was doing. Like I'd go to Junior Olympics and come back and everyone would be like, how'd you do? Like what, like whatever. And it's really cool to have a community that isn't necessarily like as in touch with what's going on in the ski world, but still will rally around and support you. Like that's such a cool feeling.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's just a mountain town. Everyone wants to have fun and ski. Like that's why we're here.
Yeah. Yep, totally. When we're traveling for competitions or whatever, it's kind of hard to hold to a morning routine or an evening routine. But like a lot of the people that I talk to have some sort of like a morning thing that they do? Do you have any sort of morning routine or evening routine that helps you just like solidify your day, or like a specific competition routine or anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. Like I usually have more of like a weekly routine. I would say I go like I wake up at 8:30. I'll be in the gym by 9:30. Then I'll go to the trampoline by 10:30, and then after that I'll go to the steam room by 11:30. So I break it off into like hours.
Yep.
And so then after the steam room, I'll either have physical therapy or go to sports psychology until 1:30. And then at 1:30, I'll usually like go ski, or that's when I'll handle my emails, or like. Sorry, I just got a phone call middle of that.
All good.
But yeah, then after 1:30, I'll like, start doing computer work, start editing, or I don't know, going out to ski or having a good time, just hanging with the guys. But I definitely like to have a little bit of structure. It makes you feel just good. It makes me feel good.
Yeah, totally. I think there's when you know what you're going to do, you can kind of go on autopilot in some ways, and it allows you to focus on the moment so much more instead of thinking what's next, you just kind of know what's coming up next, and then you can really just like put all of your focus into the now, which is really important when you're in the half pipe, being focused on the now. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. That latest video that you put out with GoPro, that training video, was that at your the gym that you work out at?
Yeah, so that was at Aspen Valley Ski Club, and that's the gym I use. So yeah.
Sweet. Have you been doing a lot of obstacle courses like that, or like I know when I saw Andre Rigatli's video earlier this summer, I was like, I was at my performance trainer, and I was like, we got to set something up this. Like that looked like so much fun. It looked awesome. So is that something that you normally have done, or did you get kind of inspired by that video, mix between the two?
Yeah, it's kind of a mix between the two. Like I saw that video and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Like you could really build this up, or you could really do whatever you please. And then I just started adding it into my workouts. Like I would just set up little obstacle courses. I set like a section of 20 minutes in my workout to do that. Yep. And it just kind of started getting more and more, and I was doing it more and more. And then I was like, let's do a great video. Like, let's do something cool and really utilize Aspen Valley Ski Club and, I don't know, show them what we're doing over here.
Yeah, totally. It was pretty cool because you could tell the whole layout of the building, the way that there's like trampolines in different spots, and there's that outside workout zone that you were jumping from pillar to pillar.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it was just cool because you could really get a feel for what the club looks like, feels like, and of course what you were doing was super sick. So
cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to send you over some of the videos that I've been doing. We don't have very much space at my performance trainer's place. He does a lot of physical therapy as well, and it's pretty funny because like there'll be like a 65-year-old grandma getting PT from her knee replacement, and then there's me like doing crazy stuff, like just like 15 feet away. So it's pretty funny because like I don't know, I feel kind of out of place sometimes, but also like I know like I'm inspiring them a lot of the times. Like they're like they just like love to see what I'm doing. They're like, "You're crazy! I can't believe you're doing that." So it's kind of cool.
No, that's super cool. It's inspiring to them, and they want to check it out, and they want to be in the scene as well.
Yeah, totally. Even if they're like, "Oh, I would never do that," or whatever, just for them to see like what us as the younger generation are doing. I think it's just cool for them. I think that's one of the cool things about a lot of the older generation is they are really curious as to, especially, like what we're doing on skis is so crazy. So like, they're like so curious the ones that are curious, I just like love to just like pour as much energy and attention and information into, because not everyone is that curious, but when they get curious, it's fun. It's fun to educate.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. That is a good point. It's super cool.
How long have you been working out at that gym? For quite a while?
Yeah, I guess since I started working out like really heavily for probably since I was like 15.
Yeah.
Now I'm 23. So yeah, for like the past 8 years, but I've been a part of the Aspen Valley Ski Club since I was 8. So I've pretty much been there like every day for my whole life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, man, that's the one thing that Crested Butte doesn't have is those flybed trampolines, and I would benefit so hugely from having a flybed. Whenever I've been around a flybed, it's like helped my progression so much, from like I have a trampoline in my front yard, but it's hard to even just do like straight over like super tuck double backflips. So, doing any sort of double cork or, anything like that is super rough, but those flybeds are awesome. I'm jealous. You're lucky.
Oh yeah, so lucky. They are definitely a game changer, and they're really cool.
Yeah. Was that something that you did from a young age, was getting on those trampolines? And
Oh yeah, like our whole crew, like Mikey Schumacher, Tornator Wallace, Kyler Sharoni, Kai Cathers, we've been jumping since we were like, as soon as we could. If we weren't jumping at AVSC like during dryland, then we were jumping at Mikey's house. Like we were just
sweet.
consistently always jumping as much as we could. But it was definitely a big role in all of our lives.
Totally. I assume your workouts have changed, but you said, like you hit the gym for about an hour before you get on the trampoline. Will you describe what that hour looks like, kind of? I know it probably varies.
I usually try and do so I try and build up the body. So I'll start with my calves, and I'll do 3 leg workout exercises. So I'll do like calves, hamstrings, quads, and then I'll go into some hip workouts, some like hip mobility stuff. And then from there, I work into the core, and I'll do 3 core exercises back to back to get the most bang for your buck. That's what I like to do.
Yep.
And then after the core, I like to go into the shoulders because I kind of have not so strong shoulders. So I'm trying to work on getting them stronger. And then from there, I try and do like at least 20 minutes of balance stuff, and like really trying to set up an obstacle course and making it more difficult each time and changing it each time, because, it's kind of like when we go skiing, the conditions are always different. Like there's totally variable conditions. It's an outside sport. Yeah. So I like to just switch it up and as much as possible and try and mimic what could happen,
Yeah, totally. I was talking to David Wise a couple weeks ago, and he was saying that he visualizes setting like a double cork wrong and what he needs to do to fix it in the air, which I thought that was really cool because, a lot of people would be like, yeah, I just visualize it doing it perfectly every single time. And it's like, that's not how it's going to go while you're out there. So, allowing yourself to understand that those variables happen and then, accounting for it before it even does happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. I know a couple other people that go from the bottom up, and I think that that's a pretty awesome routine. And then also shoulders. I never realized how big shoulders were in setting tricks until like about a year and a half ago. And it's like everything starts with your shoulders. And then like if you have a strong core and you set with your shoulders and then everything is connected from there, then your tricks are going to come out so much cleaner. You're going to have that flexibility to get the the grabs in there and everything. And it's crazy how big shoulders are in skiing.
Yeah, no, they're a lot like your knees. Like your knees need to be extremely strong. Your shoulders need to be extremely strong.
Yeah, totally.
More, yeah.
Yeah, I broke my back a year and a half ago and started working out with my personal trainer, and I just kind of started to realize, how much I was lacking in the fitness department, and then B, like how important the core and shoulders. Like you know that core is important, but shoulders, man, it's crazy. Um, do you have a specific diet that you stick to? Like it's super hard on the road to eat, super
It's
healthy.
so hard on.
But
Yeah, it's so difficult. Like you're saying, it's crazy. But as far as like when I'm home, in the morning I'll usually eat oatmeal because it sticks to your ribs and it stays like with you and gives you energy for a long time.
yep,
So then I'll do oatmeal, and after the gym workout, I'll have some protein. I
yep,
ride for this company called USANA, so I just drink their protein, and it's really good. And then from there, I usually have like a simple burrito, like white rice, chicken, black beans, and cheese. Just like, I don't know. And then after that, I usually try and do like one fruit smoothie a day,
yep.
like one banana, three strawberries, some milk, and three ice cubes. And I'm always in the NutriBullet. It's great.
Oh yeah, totally.
And then my mom will usually cook like a really healthy vegetable driven dinner, which is good to finish off with.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that sounds good. I'm hungry right now.
Yeah. I like to keep it simple though, not like too much crazy stuff because we're humans, we're simple.
Yeah. So this might be, I don't know. What's your favorite part about skiing? There's so many amazing parts about it, but like what would you say your favorite part about skiing is?
There are, yeah, like you said, there are a lot of amazing parts about it. I think my favorite time to be skiing is when it's really sunny and slushy, and when you're with a good group of people who just want to ski.
Yep.
Whether you're skiing park, whether you're skiing pipe, whether you're just skiing the mountain, soul skiing is really the best thing in the world. And I'd say just a nice spring slushy day on Highlands. There's nothing to beat it because you're just all smiles and you're just out there.
Yeah, man. It's crazy the progression that you can get when it's spring skiing, when you have just like that perfect layer of slush and like it's like you have this little extra blanket of comfort when you're trying new tricks, and oftentimes like you might eat it once or whatever, but like I feel like you end up stomping more when it's spring skiing.
Yeah.
Just because you are
Yeah.
more comfortable and you're like not as like uptight, like, okay, it's super hard pack, I cannot go down.
Yeah. Exactly.
Some of my best days in progression in the park came out at Mount Hood, and being out there like 11 o'clock, it's starting to warm up. Just those days where progression is just endless, man.
Absolutely. Like you're just out there having fun and it's super sunny and that little layer of slush gives you that extra bit of confidence, I guess.
Yep.
And you take your guard off a little bit, but you're still trying to push it. So
Yeah, totally. You kind of get in that flow state where everything is, it just flows, just comes like more naturally. I feel like you're like, oh, I could try this trick, and then like all of a sudden you're stomping it. You're like, oh, I just did that.
yeah, like let's go one more 180 or something. It's usually how it goes.
Yeah, totally, man. I love how you say, with a group of people. That's been a consistent theme when I ask this question to everyone, whether it's, to like park skiers and pipe skiers like you, or I've interviewed a lot of backcountry athletes, and pretty much everyone's like the community that skiing brings. And I think that that's, one of the biggest things about skiing is it just brings together a community of people that, like, no matter where you're at, you just love shredding around with friends, and yeah, it's just crazy how the ski community rallies together and comes together like a fam.
Yeah, it's such an interesting sport because, it is an individual sport, but at the same time, to be able to share it with your friends and family, it's like, wow, anybody can do this. That's the cool part about it. You can just take it as far as you want.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You've gotten to travel a lot for skiing. What's your favorite place you've ever traveled to? Obviously, you said you love Aspen. There's 4 different mountains there. You get literally anything that you want, from sick backcountry terrain, side country terrain, on piste, amazing terrain for hucking cliffs and pillows, to the buttermilk park and pipe. So,
Yeah.
besides Aspen, where's your favorite place to ski?
Yeah, besides Aspen, I really love this place called Teens, France.
Yep.
And it is just amazing there. It's a lot like Aspen. It's one huge mountain. You could probably fit the square acreage of all 4 mountains into that mountain because it's so big.
Yep.
Like Aspen, they have it all. They have really deep, strong, steep lines, or they have the pipe right at the bottom, or they have the park over at the top. Like, you can really get a diverse platform, whichever you want to do. So I think that place is just amazing. And the view there, it's like a 360 view. It's crazy. And everybody's just not worried about rules, about going off piste or whatever. It's Europe. You're allowed to do whatever you can do. You're kind of have your own responsibility of yourself. And I find that comforting, kind of like you can push it truly as far as you want. And I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think, in the U.S. we've definitely, because of litigation and laws and insurance and liability and all this stuff, we get put into a box that skiing isn't necessarily supposed to be put in. Like, I just started speed riding recently.
Oh, nice.
It's awesome. Super sick. But I can't do it on Crested Butte because they don't allow it. And it's
Right.
like, out in Europe, they're like, go send, just don't wrap yourself up in the lift.
Yeah.
Like, be smart about it. Like, you're going to be shamed if you you wrap yourself up in the lift or something like that. Or I think one of the things that at the heart of skiing is accepting responsibility for your own decision making. And Griffin Post and I just talked about that, where it's one of the only places where, like, your decisions can have a huge impact on the rest of your life in certain ways. And like, if you screw up in decision making, especially in the backcountry, it can really, it can change the path of your life completely. And in the world that we live in these days, there's not many places where decisions are actually that permanent or that, impactful. Like, we live in kind of like a pretty soft bubble, especially like if you're in the city. It's like, oh, should I get Chinese or pizza today? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, totally. It could totally impact your life. 1 second, 1 split second decision. You're right. It's crazy.
Yeah. But it's awesome, the independence that Europe gives to everyone. And I think in the end, everyone's better off for it, because you don't have someone that's trying to hold your hand, whether you want your hand to be held or not. You just don't have that.
Yeah. It's that certain sense of freedom. And when you have 100% freedom, it's like, who knows what can happen?
Yeah.
Who knows what you're capable of, what's possible. You just got to kind of run with it sometimes.
Yeah, totally. Teens is where you got silver in X Games, right? In the Euro X? Was that teens?
That was actually in Oslo.
Oslo, okay. Sweet.
Yeah, but Teen was holding European X Games before that, but they had to discontinue for reasons I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I knew that they were doing X Games at some point, but While we're on the subject of that competition, can you walk us through what that was like? And
Yeah, for the European X Games?
yep.
Yeah. So European X Games was pretty crazy, actually. I got to Oslo, and I didn't know what to expect. I knew it was going to be really icy conditions because we were in Scandinavia, and it was. But it was just a really great event, and for Torn and I to share the podium was like an absolute dream come true. And we had a really great time. I got no complaints. It was super fun. It was for one of the best runs I've ever thrown. So I think we all just were really happy with how the event went.
Yeah, totally, man. That must have been awesome. You pretty much grew up with Torin, right? What's the age difference between you guys?
Yeah, we did grow up together. He's 21 and I'm 23. We're about a year and a half apart.
Yep. Man, I can't believe he's only 21. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's so crazy.
Yep. Do you guys get to train with Aaron Blanc much?
Yeah, so like we met Aaron obviously competing or just through different competitions, and then we all just became really close, and we're all still really close to this day, especially with Lyman, Courier, and Broby Leeds as well.
Yep, that's how we got connected.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, me and you, Broby hooked us up on Instagram. I know we had talked beforehand, but
oh yeah, that's right, exactly, Broby. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. The five of us have always just been, or four. How many? Torrin, Lyman, Aaron, Broby, myself. Yeah, the five of us. We're always just competing a lot, and we met each other on the road and at different competitions, and now we're all pretty close, and we talk on a regular basis. So skiing has not just brought skiing; it's also brought friendships that'll last forever and be with you. Endless stories, hilarious stories of the guys and us training at ski comps and doing whatever we do.
Yeah, totally. Ski racing, that was, one of the most fun things was going to camps. We were away from home, whatever that meant. And,
Yeah.
that was just, it was, being ski racers, we were a little bit more, I think, we were a little bit straight edge in some ways, or but it was always like, how can we push the limits without being too crazy or too much of assholes, basically, in the end. But yeah, man, it was pretty funny. I have some pretty funny stories from being on the road in Austria and like training in pit stall and stuff like that with the team, getting in trouble, and yeah.
It's a part of the ride. Like you got to do it. That's so much fun. That's what makes you.
Yeah, totally. And forming those memories, I think, is like, that's what life is all about, is the unforgettable memories that you make.
Yeah, like we'll always be able to ski with each other. We'll probably all be at each other's weddings one day. Whatever it is, we'll all be just hanging out again.
Yeah, totally. You have PT at 11. Did you have an injury recently that you're recovering from?
Yeah, I got physical therapy at 11. I actually broke my collarbone in New Zealand.
Dang, no good.
Yeah. It wasn't the most ideal situation. It hurt pretty bad. But I broke it, and then I had to stay in New Zealand for another 2 days to figure out what my travel situation was and where I was going to get surgery, because I needed to get surgery immediately. So I stayed in New Zealand for 2 days and then flew to Salt Lake, got my flights all switched up, landed in Salt Lake late, like about 10 p.m. on a Sunday. And then Monday morning around 11:30, got surgery. They got me in.
Nice. Who'd you get surgery with? Cooley?
I actually went with Andrew Cooper, Dr. Cooper,
Okay.
and him and his team did a great job. I don't know what they did, but they put a plate in and 8 screws, and it feels outstanding. Like I was jumping on the trampoline and doing push-ups a week after surgery. So I don't know what they did, but
Dang.
yeah, it was crazy.
That's awesome. I tore my ACL in February and got surgery in March, and it's crazy the technology of surgeries. I was walking on it 2 days afterwards, and like ran a 10K on. It was an anti-gravity treadmill, but I was at like 90% body weight, like 2 months afterwards.
Wow, that is extremely impressive. Yeah.
It was pretty crazy. It was actually more than a 10K. I ran 8 miles in an hour, which like is some of the fastest I've ever run. I'm not really that big of a runner.
Holy shnikes.
But yeah, it's been really cool to see how quickly you can recover after surgery, especially when you put your mind to it and like when you're motivated to get back and get back on the slopes, you know.
Yeah, I think if you have a clear vision of what you're going to do after, it's really easy and you're just fired up.
Yeah.
You're just doing it. Doing whatever it takes, but I'm doing it.
Yeah, for real. Definitely. What's one piece of encouragement or wisdom that you received that stuck with you, that's kind of allowed you to become the skier that you are today?
I think like at 2 different points in my career, I was thinking about just not keep skiing professionally or competing wise. And I was going to go to school, but still ski for fun, obviously, and do my thing. But Torin told me that I was just, it was like some of the best skiing I'd ever done. He was like, you got too much going for you to not do this, And that was a pretty pinnacle moment in my life. And it helped out a lot. And then also my ski coach, Ilana Chase, had to talk me off the ledge as well another time. But I'm just super thankful that they did take me off the ledge. And I am still skiing professionally and competing because I really do love it. And I was taking it for granted, actually, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's been pretty cool because, we skied on Kesley together, and I would see your, like, even though we didn't have an interpersonal relationship at all, I would see your stuff pop up on their social media, or like I would be on the same email thread of like, I think it was one of the first doubles you threw out in Park City. It was like a double 10 on the XX80 or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that, and it's just so cool to see you go from that in Park City to like where you're at now, throwing right and left side doubles in the pipe, and that's just I'm glad that you stuck with it because it's seeing what's actually possible is awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Can you see me? Hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad it all, everything happens for a reason, I think.
Yeah, definitely, man. And sticking with it is super important. I think, oftentimes when we're close to giving up or, we're close to quitting is when we're the closest to success as well. It's just hard for us to see it or have that frame of mind to realize it.
Exactly. And that's what it usually is. Yeah.
I think a lot of times we can almost like it subconsciously, we know we're that close, but we don't know what the breakthrough is that is actually going to take us to that next level. And so we almost just like we feel like giving up because we are almost like a little bit, at least for me, like a little bit scared of where we could possibly go subconsciously at like some sort of level. It's like,
yeah, of course.
I'm scared of the person that I could become.
Yeah. No, that's It is usually when you're the closest is when you're the closest to giving up too, because it's that breaking point. Like what can you take? What can make you? What can break you? Really?
Yeah, totally. Trying these tricks in the pipe and in the park is pretty scary. It can be pretty scary. What's one technique that you use to like overcome fear or mitigate, make calculated decisions to make yourself know that you're going to land it, or like convince yourself that you're ready for it or whatever?
Yeah, of course. I'm very much so about the calculated risk. Like I'll definitely go for things when I don't know what I'm doing and to push the sport and push myself. But I usually like to know what I'm doing, or like what I'm going to, how I see it in my head,
Yep.
And I think the best tool for me personally is I use the trampoline more than anything. I'm like consistently on the trampoline every single day, and it just raises air awareness for me.
Yeah.
And it's fun, I have a good time doing it. And it has tremendously helped mitigate the fear aspect of going for really gnarly double flips in the half pipe when it's icy or whenever, it's I'm not as scared as much anymore because I guess you could say I'm more prepared.
Yeah, totally. Definitely. Yeah, the trampoline is awesome. I've always loved the trampoline, and it's just super fun. You can spend hours on the trampoline and like exhaust yourself and be like, but I just want to keep going.
Yeah, totally. It's really a great tool, but it's also just a great aspect of flipping and spinning. It's fun.
Yeah, totally. What's your opinion on the whole social media aspect of skiing right now? Like social media is so huge. Instagram, it's like the huge thing in skiing right now, and it's changed the landscape a lot. What's your opinion on it all?
I think it's cool depending on how you use it. Like for me, when Alex Hall or Elias Ambuel post something on Instagram, I'm like so excited to watch it, And they post really cool videos. It's almost like you're learning through Instagram. At least for me, I'm like, whoa, like A Hall did a cork 180. How did he do that? How did his body get into that motion? And you're just watching and you see it and you're like, oh, all right, that's pretty sweet. Like it's totally doable. So I think for that aspect, like just trying to see all different types of skiers and what kind of tricks they do, and just look at their overall style. I really love social media for that. It's I'll spend hours just going through old ski videos of other people, just trying to figure out like how they do it or why it looks so good.
Yeah, totally. Like that Jesper's double 16 that he posted recently.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool to watch because he like reset his spin after his first cork, and then like whipped himself into the second one. And it was really cool to see, like, you can almost see the way that someone thinks about doing a trick and how they break it down in their head based on how they pull a trick. And you like deconstruct it. You're like, okay, so he wanted to do the 7 first, and then he just whipped it, or the 10 first, and then he just whipped it around, or whatever. I don't even remember how exactly his went about it, but it was just like, it was really cool because you could see in the middle of the trick, he like completely almost reset his spin, or like his spin, and then launched himself into the next one.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, and somebody might do it different. Like he went 7 to 9. Maybe somebody goes 10 to 5, like everybody's doing crazy stuff these days.
Well, there you have it, folks. Part 1 of the interview with Alex Ferreira. I hope that you really enjoyed this interview, like all the rest, and found applicable information and wisdom to take away and improve your life. One of the things that is talked about a lot on this podcast is community, and I host a community for skiers who are passionate about the sport on Facebook called I Love Skiing with an exclamation mark. So definitely search that out if you would like to come over and join my community for skiers. As always, rating, reviewing, and subscribing always helps. Much love. Thank you so much for your support, and happy shredding.